She destroyed the billionaire who betrayed her. His reaction left everyone speechless. Welcome to Fallen Hearts Chronicles. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating stories of love, betrayal, and revenge. The perfect life shattered. The crystal chandeliers sparkled above the ballroom like 1,000 frozen stars. Emma-chan stood in her midnight blue dress, her heart racing as she watched Marcus Sterling walk toward her with that smile that had made her fall in love 5 years ago. The charity gala was in full swing, and the city's elite moved around them like elegant ghosts. But Emma only had eyes for him. Marcus was everything people said he was. Tall, handsome, successful. The 32-year-old CEO of Sterling Development had built an empire of glass towers and luxury apartments across the country. But what the magazines and newspapers never mentioned was the way he laughed at Emma's terrible jokes, or how he always remembered her coffee order, or the gentle way he held her hand when she felt nervous. Tonight felt different. Tonight felt like magic. "Emma," Marcus said, taking her hand. His dark eyes reflected the chandelier lights. "I need to ask you something." The room seemed to hold its breath. Emma's best friend Sophie grabbed her arm excitedly from across the room. Even Marcus's mother, the cold and intimidating Catherine Sterling, was watching from her table, though her expression was unreadable. Marcus knelt down on one knee. The conversations around them died. Cameras flashed. "5 years ago, I met a woman who changed my life," Marcus began, pulling out a velvet box. "You came into my world with your brilliant mind, your kind heart, and your terrible taste in movies." Emma laughed through sudden tears. People around them chuckled. "You made me want to be better. You made me believe in things I thought were just stories. Emma-chan, will you marry me?" The diamond ring caught the light, throwing rainbows across Emma's face. But she barely saw it. She saw only Marcus, the man she had loved through late-night work sessions, family dinners with his distant mother, and quiet Sunday mornings in her small apartment that he claimed to love more than his penthouse. "Yes," she whispered. Then louder, "Yes." The room erupted in applause. Marcus slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her. It was perfect. It was everything she had dreamed of since that first day 5 years ago when she had walked into Sterling Development as a junior architect and he had spilled coffee on her portfolio. But across the room, Catherine Sterling's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. The cruel truth. 3 days later, Emma sat in Marcus's penthouse office, waiting for him to return from a meeting. She was supposed to be looking at wedding venues on her laptop, but Marcus's computer was open on his desk, and a notification had popped up. "Project Reset, Final Documentation." Emma told herself not to look. She told herself it was private. But something in those words made her stomach twist. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. Just a quick look. Just to ease the strange feeling. She clicked. The folder opened to reveal dozens of files. Photos, emails, voice recordings. Emma's hands began to shake as she clicked the first document. The Sterling Bet Confidential Agreement. Date: 5 years, 2 months ago. Participants: Marcus Sterling, James Rothwell, David Chun, no relation, Christopher Vale. Wager: Marcus Sterling bets he can make any woman of the group's choosing fall genuinely in love with him within 6 months, maintain the relationship for 5 years, and get her to say yes to marriage. Target: Emma Chen, junior architect, age 23, no family connections, no wealth, no social standing. Prize: upon successful completion, Marcus Sterling receives controlling shares in Vale Luxury Properties, valued at $50 million. Upon failure, Marcus Sterling forfeits his shares in Sterling Development East Coast Division. Emma couldn't breathe. The words swam before her eyes. She clicked another file. It was a photo of her, the first day they met. Coffee stains on her portfolio. She was laughing, embarrassed. Below the photo, Marcus had written, "Day 1, target acquired. She's perfect, completely unaware. This will be easier than I thought." More files, more evidence. 5 years of documentation. Photos of their dates with timestamps and notes. Month 3, She said, I love you first. Excellent progress. Email exchanges between Marcus and his friends, betting on how long until she'd agree to move in with him. Voice recordings of Marcus laughing about the project with Christopher. And then the final document, dated 1 week ago. Mission accomplished. She said yes to the proposal. Shares transfer on Monday. Thanks for the easiest $50 million I've ever made. Drinks on me. The laptop slipped from Emma's hands. She couldn't feel her body. She couldn't feel anything except a vast, hollow emptiness spreading through her chest like ice water. 5 years. 5 years of her life. Every kiss. Every whispered promise. Every moment she had believed in love. All of it was a lie. All of it was a bet. The door opened behind her. Marcus walked in, loosening his tie, smiling. Hey, beautiful. Sorry I'm late. The meeting ran. He stopped. He saw his computer. He saw Emma's face. Emma, he said, and his voice changed. The warmth drained out of it. I can explain. Explain. Emma's voice was surprisingly steady. Explain which part? The part where you bet on me like I was a horse? The part where you documented our entire relationship like a science experiment? Or the part where you're getting $50 million for making me fall in love with you? The confrontation. Marcus closed the door behind him. For a moment, he looked genuinely uncomfortable. Then his expression shifted into something Emma had never seen before. Something calculating. Okay, he said slowly. You weren't supposed to find that. You weren't supposed to find that? Emma repeated, her voice rising. That's what you have to say? Listen to me? Marcus moved closer. His hands raised like he was calming a frightened animal. Yes, it started as a bet. But Emma, things changed. I actually fell in love with you. Everything after the first few months was real. Real. Emma stood up, her legs shaky. You documented everything. You wrote notes about me like I was a project. When exactly did it become real, Marcus? Month 3? Month 6? Or did you just get so good at lying that you convinced yourself? I'm not lying now. Marcus grabbed her arms. His grip was firm. Yes, I did terrible things. Yes, I was an arrogant bastard 5 years ago. But you changed me, Emma. You actually changed me. I love you. That ring? I bought it because I want to marry you, not because of the bet. Emma pulled away from him. The bet you already won. How convenient that you suddenly developed real feelings right after I said yes. That's not fair. Not fair. Emma's laugh was bitter. You want to talk about fair? I loved you. I turned down job offers to stay at your company. I changed my entire life for you. I was going to marry you. The door opened again. Catherine Sterling stood there in her designer suit, her expression cold and composed. How much of that did you hear? Marcus asked his mother. Enough, Catherine said, stepping inside and closing the door. She looked at Emma with those ice-blue eyes. So you found out. Well, I suppose it was inevitable. You knew. Emma stared at her. Of course you knew. You probably planned it. Catherine didn't deny it. I suggested the target, yes. You were perfect. Smart enough to be interesting, poor enough to be grateful, ambitious enough to stay useful. My son needed to learn how to manipulate people properly if he was going to run this company. You were an excellent teaching tool. Emma felt sick. Teaching tool. Oh, don't be dramatic. Catherine waved her hand dismissively. You've lived a very comfortable life for 5 years. You've had access to opportunities you never would have gotten otherwise. And now Marcus has learned his lesson. He's ready to marry someone appropriate. Mother, Marcus said sharply. What? Did you think you'd actually marry her? Catherine looked at her son. The bet is over. You won your shares. Now we clean up the mess. She turned to Emma and pulled out a checkbook. Here's what's going to happen. We'll give you $5 million to disappear quietly. You'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. You'll never speak about this family again. You'll use the money to start over somewhere far away from here. Emma stared at the check Catherine was writing. $5 million. Enough money to change her life. Enough money to never worry again. but it would be blood money. Payment for her broken heart. Compensation for being made a fool. No, Emma said. Catherine's pen stopped. Excuse me? I said no. Emma met the older woman's eyes. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from either of you. Don't be stupid, Catherine said coldly. $5 million is more than someone like you will ever see again. Take it and go. Someone like me? Emma felt something shift inside her. The numbness was burning away, replaced by a fire she'd never felt before. You're right about one thing, Mrs. Sterling. You taught your son well. He learned how to lie, how to manipulate, how to destroy someone's trust. She turned to Marcus. His face was twisted with guilt and anger and something that might have been genuine regret. But Emma didn't care anymore. You want to know the funny thing? Emma said quietly. I would have loved you for free. You didn't need a bet. You didn't need to document everything. If you had just been real with me from the start, I would have given you everything. But you couldn't do that. Because people like you see people like me as things to be used. Emma, please. Marcus reached for her. She stepped back. Stay away from me, both of you. I'm going to walk out of here, and I never want to see either of you again. You'll regret this, Catherine warned. You could have been rich. Emma looked at the ring on her finger, the enormous diamond that had symbolized love and promise and a future. She pulled it off and set it on Marcus's desk. I'd rather be poor and honest than rich and fake, she said. Goodbye, Marcus. She walked out of the penthouse, down the elevator, through the marble lobby, out into the cold night air. She made it 3 blocks before her legs gave out. She sat on a bench in a park, and finally, she let herself break. The tears came in great, shaking sobs. 5 years. 5 years of her life. Every memory was tainted now. Every moment of happiness was built on lies. Her phone buzzed. It was Sophie. Emma, I just saw the pictures from the gala. That ring is gorgeous. When are we going dress shopping? Emma? Emma? Are you there? Sophie? Emma managed to say through her tears. Can you come get me? Where are you? What's wrong? Everything, Emma whispered. Everything is wrong. The breakdown. Sophie found her on that bench 20 minutes later. Emma's best friend had known her since college, had been there through every milestone, every heartbreak, every triumph. But she had never seen Emma like this. What happened? Sophie wrapped her coat around Emma's shaking shoulders. Did something happen with Marcus? Emma couldn't speak. She just handed Sophie her phone, showing her the photos she'd taken of the documents before leaving the penthouse. Sophie read them in silence. Her face went from confused to shocked to absolutely furious. That bastard, Sophie whispered. That absolute bastard. Emma, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sophie took Emma back to her apartment. For 3 days, Emma barely moved from Sophie's couch. She didn't eat. She didn't sleep. She just stared at the ceiling, replaying 5 years of memories and trying to figure out which parts, if any, had been real. On the 4th day, Sophie sat down next to her with a cup of tea. Okay, Sophie said firmly. I've given you 3 days to break down. That's done now. Time to get up. I can't, Emma said. Her voice was hoarse from crying. Yes, you can. Because you're Emma Chin. You put yourself through architecture school while working 3 jobs. You designed the Riverside complex that won the Innovation Award. You are brilliant and talented and strong. And you're not going to let some rich boy and his evil mother destroy you. They already did, Emma said. No, Sophie said. They hurt you. But you're not destroyed. You're angry. And anger is useful. Emma looked at her friend. What are you saying? I'm saying that Marcus Sterling and his mother think they won. They think you'll just disappear, broken and ashamed. But that's not who you are. Sophie pulled out her laptop. I've been doing research. Marcus's company is about to launch the biggest project of his career. The Sterling Tower. A $2 billion luxury complex downtown. So you worked on the preliminary designs before you left. You know that project inside and out. Sophie's eyes gleamed. And I bet you know things about it that he's forgotten you know. Emma sat up slowly. Her mind, dormant for days, began to turn. The Sterling Tower. Yes, she knew it. She had spent months on those early designs before Marcus's team took over. She knew the foundations, the support structures, the materials lists. And she knew something else. Something she had tried to warn Marcus about before he dismissed her concerns. The Western Foundation had a flaw. A small one that might never cause problems. Or might cause the entire building to fail inspection. Sophie, Emma said slowly. I need my laptop. That's my girl, Sophie smiled. Emma spent the next week in Sophie's apartment, barely sleeping, working frantically. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was focused, determined. She had been made a fool of for 5 years. She had given her heart, her time, her talent, and her trust to people who saw her as nothing more than a bet, a teaching tool, a thing to be used and discarded. But they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated her. Emma pulled up the contact information for Victoria Wu, the legendary architect who had once offered Emma a position at her international firm. Emma had turned it down to stay at Sterling Development, to stay with Marcus. Now she was going to call in that favor. And she was going to make Marcus Sterling and his mother regret the day they decided to play games with her life. The plan. Victoria Wu answered on the second ring. Emma-chan. The older woman's voice was warm but surprised. It's been 2 years since we spoke. I heard congratulations are in order. Engaged to Marcus Sterling. Very impressive. The engagement is off, Emma said steadily. And I'd like to discuss that position you offered me, if it's still available. There was a pause. The position is always available for talent like yours. But I'm sensing this is about more than just a job change. It is, Emma said. And I need to tell you something about the Sterling Tower project. Emma laid out everything. Not the personal betrayal, not the bet, but the professional concerns she had raised about the Sterling Tower that had been dismissed. The foundation issues. The material shortcuts Marcus's company was taking to stay under budget. The safety problems that might not appear for years, or might appear during the first inspection. If this project fails, Emma said, it will be the biggest construction scandal in the city's history, and I have documentation of every concern I raised that was ignored. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. You're not just looking for a job, Emma. You're looking for justice. I'm looking for both. Then let's talk, Victoria said. But not over the phone. Can you come to my office tomorrow? The next morning, Emma walked into the glass and steel tower that housed Wu International Architecture. She had dressed carefully, not in the soft, feminine clothes Marcus had always complimented. She wore a sharp black suit, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked professional, powerful, nothing like the grateful, sweet girl who had been so easy to manipulate. Victoria Wu's office was on the top floor. The older woman was in her 60s, elegant and sharp-eyed. She had built her firm from nothing, fighting against discrimination and doubt to become one of the most respected architects in the world. Sit, Victoria said, pouring tea. Tell me everything. So Emma did. Not just the professional problems, but the personal betrayal. The bet. The 5 years of lies. Catherine Sterling's cruel dismissal. When she finished, Victoria's expression was cold and angry. I've known Catherine Sterling for 30 years, Victoria said. She's a snake. Always has been. And apparently, she raised her son to be one too. She sipped her tea thoughtfully. You want revenge. I want justice, Emma corrected. Justice is what the courts give you. Revenge is what you take yourself. Victoria smiled. I can offer you both. Partner position at my firm. Full benefits, generous salary, and access to all our resources. In return, you work on our new project, the Riverside Financial Center, right across the street from where the Sterling Tower is supposed to be built. Emma's heart began to race. You're serious? I'm always serious when it comes to destroying people who deserve it, Victoria said. The Sterling Tower has problems. You know it. I know it. But Marcus Sterling is too arrogant to listen. So we're going to build something better. Something that makes his tower look like a cheap joke. And when his project fails inspection because of the flaws you warned him about, everyone will know that he was too prideful to listen to his best architect. And what about the documentation of the bet? Emma asked. Victoria's smile turned wicked. Hang on to that. You'll know when it's time to use it. Emma extended her hand. I accept your offer. Good. Victoria shook it firmly. Now go home. Rest. Get your strength back. Because in 1 week, Emma-chan, you're going to walk back into the architecture world as my partner. And Marcus Sterling is going to realize he made the biggest mistake of his life. Emma left the office feeling something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. And something stronger than hope. Purpose. Marcus Sterling had made her a bet. Project. A teaching tool for his mother's lessons in manipulation. Now Emma was going to teach both of them a lesson they would never forget. She was going to show them exactly what happens when you underestimate someone who has nothing left to lose. 6 months later, the return. The Grand Marquis Hotel's ballroom was packed with the city's most influential architects, developers, and investors. The annual Architecture Innovation Summit was the industry's biggest event, where new projects were unveiled and partnerships were formed. Emma stood near the bar, her fingers wrapped around a glass of champagne she had no intention of drinking. She barely recognized herself in the mirror behind the bar. Gone was the sweet, accommodating junior architect who had loved Marcus Sterling. In her place stood a woman transformed. Her hair was shorter, styled in a sharp, elegant cut. She wore a crimson designer dress that Victoria had insisted she buy, with heels that made her stand tall. But the real change wasn't external. Emma carried herself differently now. There was confidence in her posture, steel in her gaze, and a quiet power that made people turn to look as she passed. Partner Chun, a voice said beside her, a young developer she'd been negotiating with earlier. I wanted to follow up on our discussion about the Riverside project. Send the proposal to my office, Emma said smoothly. We'll review it next week. Partner Chun. 6 months ago, that title would have been a distant dream. Now it was her reality. Emma, she knew that voice, had heard it whisper promises in the dark, had heard it laugh at her jokes, had heard it lie. Emma turned slowly. Marcus Sterling stood 3 feet away, and he looked terrible. His designer suit couldn't hide the weight he'd lost. His eyes had dark circles beneath them. His usually perfect hair was slightly disheveled. He stared at her like he was seeing a ghost. Marcus, Emma said, her voice cool and professional. How unexpected. Marcus seemed unable to form words. You look different. Doi. Emma took a sip of her champagne. I suppose 6 months does change a person. Emma, please, I need to talk to you. Marcus stepped closer. Several people nearby turned to watch. The broken engagement of Marcus Sterling and Emma-chan had been the subject of industry gossip for months. I've been trying to reach you. You changed your number. You blocked my emails. Yes, Emma said simply. I did. I need to explain. There's nothing to explain, Mr. Sterling. Emma cut him off. You explained everything quite clearly 6 months ago. Or rather, your computer files did. Marcus flinched. That's not fair. If you'd just let me talk to you. Emma. Victoria Wu appeared beside her, elegant in a silver gown. There you are. The presentation is about to start. Oh, Marcus. How nice to see you. The older woman's tone made it clear it was not nice at all. Victoria, Marcus said tightly. I heard you'd taken Emma on as a partner. How fortunate for her. How fortunate for me, Victoria corrected. Emma is the most talented architect I've worked with in 20 years. I only wish I'd stolen her from your company sooner. Although I suppose you made that easy by being such a spectacular fool. Marcus's face reddened. That's none of your business. It became my business when one of my partners was hurt, Victoria said coldly. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a presentation to give. She guided Emma toward the stage. Marcus grabbed Emma's arm. Wait, he said desperately. Emma, please. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Emma looked down at his hand on her arm, then back up at his face. Marcus let go immediately. You don't get to touch me anymore, Emma said quietly. You don't get 5 minutes. You don't get anything. You used up all your chances 6 months ago. I made a mistake, Marcus said. I was young and stupid and arrogant. But I love you. That was real. I swear to you that was real. Emma felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no longing. Just a vast, cold emptiness where her feelings for him used to be. Maybe it was, she said. Maybe somewhere in those 5 years you convinced yourself you actually cared. But it doesn't matter anymore, Marcus. You broke something that can't be fixed. And I've moved on. She walked away from him, Victoria at her side. Are you okay? Victoria asked quietly. I'm perfect, Emma said, and she meant it. The presentation began 15 minutes later. Emma stood on stage with Victoria and their team, unveiling the plans for the Riverside Financial Center. It was everything the Sterling Tower wasn't. Elegant, innovative, sustainable, and structurally sound. The rendering appeared on the massive screen behind them. The crowd gasped. It was beautiful. A twisting glass structure that seemed to defy gravity, with sky gardens on every 10th floor and solar panels integrated seamlessly into the design. The Riverside Financial Center, Victoria announced, represents the future of urban architecture. Energy-efficient, community-focused, and built to last centuries. Construction begins next month. Completion is scheduled for 18 months from now. The same timeline as Sterling Tower. Emma stepped forward. This project incorporates innovations in foundation engineering that will set new industry standards for safety and sustainability. She clicked to the next slide, showing detailed technical specifications. We've worked closely with city inspectors to ensure every aspect exceeds code requirements. She didn't look at Marcus, but she knew he was in the audience. She knew he understood the message. The Sterling Tower, with its cost-cutting measures and ignored warnings, would never pass inspection now. Not with the Riverside Center setting the bar so high. The presentation ended to thunderous applause. Investors crowded forward, eager to discuss partnership opportunities. Emma smiled, shook hands, and felt a satisfaction she'd never experienced before. This wasn't just success. This was victory. The trap springs. 2 weeks later, Emma sat in her corner office at Wu International, reviewing blueprints, when her assistant knocked. Ms. Chan, there's a Mr. Christopher Vale here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent. Christopher Vale, one of Marcus's friends from the bet. The one who had offered up his company shares as the prize. Send him in, Emma said. Christopher Vale was exactly what she expected. Expensive suit, arrogant posture, and the casual cruelty of someone who had never faced consequences. He sat down without being invited. Emma Chun, he said, looking around her office. You've done well for yourself. Did you need something, Mr. Vale? Emma asked coldly. I need to offer you a business proposal. Christopher leaned forward. My company, Vale Luxury Properties, is looking for a new lead architect. I'd like to offer you the position. Triple your current salary. Full creative control. Emma stared at him. You want to hire me? You're talented. You're making waves. And frankly, having you on my team would be a hell of a coup after your very public split from Marcus. Let me understand this correctly, Emma said slowly. You want to hire me, the woman you and your friends used as a bet. The woman whose life you helped destroy for $50 million worth of shares. Christopher had the grace to look uncomfortable. That was a mistake. A stupid game that went too far. A game. Emma's voice was dangerously quiet. My life was a game to you? Look, I'm trying to make amends here, Christopher said. I'm offering you a great opportunity. You'd be stupid to turn it down out of pride. Emma stood up. Get out of my office. What? Get out. And tell Marcus or his mother or whoever sent you that I'm not for sale. Not for triple my salary. Not for any amount of money. Now leave. Christopher stood. his face red with anger and embarrassment. "You're making a mistake." "No," Emma said. "You all made the mistake. I'm just making you pay for it." After he left, Emma pulled out her phone and called Victoria. "It's starting," Emma said. "They're trying to buy me off." "Good," Victoria replied. "That means they're scared. How's the other project coming?" "Almost ready," Emma said. "I just need one more week." That week, Emma worked 18-hour days. Not on the Riverside Center, which was progressing smoothly, but on something else. Something secret. She had spent months gathering evidence. Documents, emails, photos, voice recordings. Not just about the bet, but about everything. Marcus's company's pattern of cutting corners. His mother's history of manipulation and corporate sabotage. The network of developers and politicians they had in their pocket. And she had found the perfect person to give it all to. Sarah Mitchell was an investigative journalist who had made her career exposing corporate corruption. She had been trying to get dirt on Sterling Development for years, but could never find anything concrete. Now Emma was going to give her everything. They met in a quiet cafe far from the business district. Sarah was in her 40s, sharp-eyed and skeptical. "You said you had information about Sterling Development," Sarah said. "I have to tell you, I've heard that before. Usually from disgruntled employees with nothing but gossip." "This isn't gossip." Emma slid a flash drive across the table. "This is 5 years of documentation. Financial records showing safety code violations that were covered up with bribes. Email chains about inferior materials being used in projects. And a personal story that will make sure people pay attention." Sarah plugged the flash drive into her laptop. Her eyes widened as she scrolled through files. "This is," she breathed. "This is explosive. But the personal story. Is that you?" "Yes," Emma said. "I was engaged to Marcus Sterling. The engagement ended when I discovered it was based on a bet he made with his friends." She handed over printed copies of the bet documentation. Sarah read them, her